all good things must come to an end. It can be true all it likes, but that phrase hurts. Nobody likes letting go of the good times, and no one enjoys seeing great wrestling gimmicks die. It's inevitable though. WWE's ever-changing creative brain trusts aren't the only ones to blame for these nosedives though. Sometimes the performers themselves took missteps, either through boredom or because they believed it was time to try something new. Some recovered to have significant success after the initial brilliance of their characters faded. Others, not so much. I'm Gareth from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 precise moments WWE's best ever gimmicks stopped working. Number 10, Razor Ramon. There was no going back when Vince McMahon introduced Rick Bogner as the new version of Razor Ramon in late 1996. Bogner as Razor somehow sticks out more in the mind than Glenn Jacobs as Fake Diesel too, if only because Jacobs went on to bigger and better things after this debacle. Raymond 2.0? He melted into obscurity and is only useful as a reminder that wrestling can be absolutely terrible at times. This is a weird one in that the original guy under the gimmick wasn't actually involved. Scott Hall had toddled off to WCW and launched the uber cool NWO by the time Bogner played dress up, and gamely tried his best to convince WWF hardcores that he was the real deal. Nobody took it seriously, and it remains one of the promotion's most shameful embarrassments. As soon as Jim Ross welcomed Razor Ramon with open arms on a September 96 episode of Raw, it was like a wet fart. Jerry Lawler's comment on commentary that this cosplayer looks a little bigger than the last time I saw him didn't help either. Number 9, John Cena. Few acts were hotter than bad boy rapper John Cena when he caught fire in 2003/4. His explicit rap lines, thuggish mentality, and Eminem with muscles appearance captured the imagination of an audience still seeking someone with that same old attitude. Cena became the poster boy for ruthless aggression. Then he said fudge it and changed. All of a sudden, that tough exterior, the gangster looks, and all of Cena's menace was replaced by a goofy smile, an ever-changing wardrobe of garish t-shirts and caps, and an altogether more wholesome image. This was an overnight change for Cena, and it was totally deliberate. He didn't feel comfortable playing the character when he noticed more kids and young families in the WWE crowds. So Cena told Vince he'd be switching things up from now on and projecting a more family-friendly persona on TV. That eventually was in line with the organization's PG certification. But there was an awkward period before that when happy, smiling Cena was at odds with his own gimmick. Number 8, Doink the Clown. The Doink heel gimmick Matt Bourne played from 1992 to 93 was stunning stuff. It was creepy, it was mysterious, and it was clear that Bourne was one hell of a worker between the ropes. Everything was going so well for the character. Bruce Pritchard even admitted on his podcast that he wanted bigger things for Doink creatively. When things suddenly turned sour. Bourne, riddled with personal problems and substance issues, left the WWF, but the company didn't want to abandon the Doink character. Instead of picking up another solid heel to fill the role though, they turned Doink babyface, gave him a sidekick called Dink, and played both off as fun-loving pranksters who only wanted to entertain the kids. The entire Doink persona was butchered by this development, and it'd never recover. It was dead as soon as Bourne wiped off the grease paint and hung up his green wig for the very last time. Number 7, Becky Lynch. What the hell is happening to Becky Lynch? When Bex first cut those scathing promos as the Man in 2018, she was a revelation. Comparisons were made between her hard-nosed presentation and former favourites like Stone Cold Steve Austin, and everyone tipped over one another to buy into Becky's new gimmick. Today, Lynch seems lost and totally unsure on where she should take her character next. When she's not wearing gimmicky sunglasses and stealing Jerry Lawler's crown, she's making overly heelish remarks and pretending to be some sports entertainment version of UFC box office smash Conor McGregor. It's not working, unfortunately. As soon as Lynch strayed from the straight-laced heroine of before and started acting like some trash with cash self-hype train, her importance dipped. Now what should be a straight-ahead winner of a story between her and Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania 36 is in real danger of falling off a cliff. Number 6, The Fiend. Bray Wyatt's Fiend piqued everyone's interest when the Masked Nightmare's twisted creativity first popped up in the spring months of 2019. As a split personality who ghosted between children's TV host and Freddy Krueger-esque monster, Bray was in his element. All WWE had to do was uphold their end of the bargain. But of course, they couldn't. Think of this as a 3-part disaster. First, Wyatt's Fiend was booked in a feud with the then top babyface Seth Rollins. That was trouble from the get-go. Bray couldn't lose so early in his run under a new character, and Seth had nothing to gain from fighting someone fans found so fresh and exciting. Then WWE booked a non-finish inside Hell in a Cell. After this, WWE then decided to give this supernatural attraction the Universal title. That all equated to a damning series of miscalculations from the writers, and painted Bray's vibrant gimmick into a corner. Now he'd have to lose. The company didn't have any choice, he wasn't going to hold the belt forever. Cue Goldberg, cue mass dissatisfaction, cue demotion down the card. Number 5, Kane. From one supernatural demon's woes to another. Kane was an imposing blast of Taker-opposing muscle when he debuted in late 1997. The original tale was fanciful, sure, but it was at least easy to follow. Kane had returned to avenge his parents and destroy his own brother. Sold. Rather than sticking to this simple origin story, WWE messed around with Kane's history until it was almost unrecognizable. What's worse is they humanized the monster, had him ignore damaged vocal cords to cut promos, initially with a voice box, and gave him an on-screen girlfriend. Tori couldn't resist agonizing personal turmoil or singed flesh, apparently. I mean, who can? The character's presentation was too convoluted by 1999. Moments like Kane bagging Tori and forcing out a quick suck it for DX fans everywhere completely shattered his early threat. Yes, gimmicks evolve, but this was too much, especially when WWE went back and rearranged some of the pieces again later on. Number 4, Goldust. If you have any children who stumble across Sable Dust on the WWE network, good luck. Here's a quick PSA. Goldust's entire artist formerly known as experimental phase from 1997 to 1998 should be avoided generally by anyone with kids. It's just a bad time for everyone. The golden outfits of before were replaced with increasingly more out there attires, and Luna Vachon's stint as Goldie's pal was more intense than the average roller coaster ride. This was not a banner period for Dustin Rhodes, nor was it progressive in a good way. The artist formerly known as Goldust killed the original's genius play on psychological mind games and sexual prejudice. It wasn't a running commentary on anything in particular and was weird for the sake of being weird. When Goldust first took steps away from his blonde hair, golden pants and dazzling costumes in favour of oddity mismatched garbage, people stopped paying attention to him as much, which is just really sad. Number 3, Mankind. Mick Foley's breakthrough guy stands out on this list because the end seemed to be the wrestler's own choice. On a January 2000 episode of SmackDown, Mick's Mankind interrupted Royal Rumble opponent Triple H's promo with a special announcement. Trips wouldn't be facing the masked guy with a white shirt and tie inside MSG. No, he'd be meeting the craziest and most dangerous of all Foley's 3 faces, Cactus Jack. That, amazingly, was one of the last times fans saw Mankind on WWE television. After he ripped off the mask and shirt to reveal that Wanted Dead t-shirt and angry face, Mick only really looked back for a token appearance or two, like his oft-forgotten match with Carlito at Taboo Tuesday 2005. Aside from that, he exclusively showed up as himself or Cactus. Mankind was pretty much a goner. Maybe Foley thought the gimmick had run its course. He did fancy retiring for good in 2000, so that adds up. And it surely would have been more prevalent on nostalgia shows if Mick was still digging the mask. Number 2, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold was the blueprint for pro wrestling's sea of change in the mid to late 90s. His rebellious character was one fans could live vicariously through, and millions lined Steve Austin's pockets by buying those simple but effective Austin 316 t-shirts. Then they downed beers along with him as he hit stunners and made Mr. McMahon's life a misery. As I said in the intro though, all good things must come to an end. By 2001, Austin obsessively pursued The Rock's WWF title and told the world he'd do anything to win at WrestleMania X7. That's why he sided with old enemy McMahon and shook hands with the devil himself, another world-class Jim Ross commentary call, after the match. That right there is when Stone Cold went, well, stone cold. Austin evolved into a cowardly McMahon sympathizer who acted paranoid around everyone, played most of his promos for laughs and begged off from babyfaces. Some skits were a riot, but they didn't please fans who yearned for the old rattlesnake. He'd been defined by that Vince bashing for so long that things felt strange without it. Number 1, The Undertaker. As kids, some of us adored the American Badass. Seeing him ride out to Kid Rock's tune at Judgment Day 2000 and maul everyone in his path got the blood pumping. And things got even cooler when Limp Bizkit's Rollin' replaced Rock. This was a successful repackaged job from a legend. It wasn't actually The Undertaker, however. All that mystique had been sucked away so the character could become more realistic. This biker had a real life away from the ring. Taker now had a wife, friends, hobbies, and wasn't some superhuman force running rule over the business anymore. Nope, he was a locker room leader who chewed tobacco and rode Harleys everywhere he went. Taker would eventually return to his origins in 2004, but that 4-year stretch of American badass, big evil, and booger red domination sticks out as some sort of fever dream spin-off. It's almost like it never happened at all, and it had next to nothing to do with his Western mortician cum satanic overlord first run. And that's our list. Know of any other precise moments WWE's best gimmicks stopped working? Let us know all about them in the comment section below, and do not forget to like, share, click on that subscribe button, and ring the bell. Also, be sure to check out whatculture.com for more incredible articles just like the one this video is based on. I've been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.